Welcome. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back, Cody, for a special podcast edition, midweek style. We're going with a breakdown of the Green Bay Packers 2021 draft selections. Made 8 selections over the course of 3 days. Some surprise ones, picks that I didn't see us going in that direction. But overall, I'm fairly happy with the draft. Cody, what do you think of the draft after watching that for 3 days?
Um, Pretty solid, pretty solid. But before we dive into the draft, huge breaking news here. First to report it, you're hearing it here at Context Gaming first. Green Bay Packers are signing Brett Favre as QB3, and Hard Knocks is gonna just cream their pants over Favre, Rodgers, and Love in the same QB room.
Oh my
It's gonna
God.
be better than the Super Bowl, baby.
Oh, the old gunslinger's back. Put her in the old vice.
Yeah, but no, we're gonna try to avoid the Rodgers talk today just because there's so many unknowns. But
Yeah, there's so much
obviously hanging
drama.
heavy over Packerland right now, and we'll have to see how it
Yeah.
plays out. But we're here to talk about the new players, the draft picks. This is where we're hoping for a lot of improvement on the team. There aren't a ton of young guys that we're looking to take, second or third year jumps. So a lot of it's going to come from this rookie class.
Yeah. Um, I think you really there I think as we go through this, you're gonna see a trend in the picks and you're gonna see the methodology or the thinking behind Goot's plan going into the future for the next few years here. Some things just kind of popped out. Definitely looks like we're trying to beef up on the interior, especially on the offensive line. I kind of really like that move, especially with all the questions at quarterback coming up in the next couple of years. So, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. I mean, offensive line. I got to say, it really surprised me. Actually, I mean, I think we all thought that right tackle might be a need. With Rick Wagner getting cut and Bakhtiari still being hurt. Um, but they've made 6 offensive line picks in the last 2 years, and then the year before that they had Jenkins. They're trying to completely reshape this offensive line. So it's going to be interesting. This is probably going to be the most competitive Green Bay Packers line I have ever seen. It'll be a fun
right,
training camp in the trenches.
absolutely. And yeah, I suppose we'll just kind of get right into it. So I'll do a little breakdown on the PowerPoint I got going, as well as some other information, but most of it's going to come from some video analysis. I'm hoping, knock on wood, that when we go through and we watch the YouTube videos and the highlights on it, that the quality will still hold up uh, on the feed, and it's not going to be grainy or looking like it was shot through a potato or anything like that. But knock on wood, should be all right. So
We've always got our expert analysis in lieu of the video.
right, yeah. All right. So in round one, we took Eric. Actually, I don't want to share this way. I want to share the other way. There we go. All right. Eric Stokes, round one. Interesting because when I was doing our mock draft uh, episode for last time, I had Green Bay trading back, and I penciled in Eric Stokes with that pick, and I actually didn't think it was. I kind of second guessed myself because Asante Samuel was on the board too, so I ended up flipping it, and then I penciled in Asante, and he ended up making the final cut, and what you saw on the mock draft video that we did. But I did have Eric Stokes penciled in there, um, which was crazy. So Eric Stokes out of Georgia, 6'1", 194. I mean, this boy can flat out fly. 4.25 40, tested off the charts, which caused him to really probably surge up from maybe a third round pick or late second to the first round to us. He had 9.99 RRS score, which is insane. Real quick, he's got experience playing both man and zone, And a fun fact, the longest completion he ever allowed in his 3 years was 23 yards. I mean, pretty good. So, watched a lot of tape on him. I believe you have too, and we're about to watch a little bit more on him. So, what's your initial thoughts on the Eric Stokes pick?
Well, so I think you bring up a good point. In that initially you had us taking Asante Samuel Jr. He ended up going to the Chargers at the top of the second. I think these two guys' careers could kind of be linked in a way. It's going to be interesting to see who turns out to be the better player. Because they kind of have opposing traits in some ways. Eric Stokes is the big, fast, physical specimen. Asante Samuel Jr., smaller guy. Eric Stokes playing top competition at Georgia. Asante Samuel Jr., not quite as high a level of competition at Florida. And then perhaps the biggest difference to me when I was watching their tape is Asante Samuel Jr. was just so aggressive. Like aggressive to the point that I think he needs to rein it in a little bit because it'll bite him in the pros. But the type of aggressiveness you love to see in that he's just a ball hawk. He's going to go try to make a play. To me, watching Eric Stokes, he's super fast, great recovery speed. But everything I watched, he was never really making an aggressive play on the ball. He would have sticky coverage. He played a lot of press man and off zone. Seemed to struggle a little bit with off man, just in terms of his footwork. Um, he in man coverage, he would be there, but he couldn't always get his head around to like make. He might break it up, but he wouldn't
Yeah.
necessarily be playing on the ball. I guess what I'm saying is like he's got all these tools to be a great sticky shutdown corner, but he seemed to lack some aggression to me. Whereas Asante Samuel Jr. 100% the opposite, kind of overly aggressive. It'll be interesting to see
So
who
he's
turns out to have the better career.
so he's a pure cover corner. Like we're not going to be getting like a Charles Woodson type tackler out of this. It's just going to be pure cover corner. I'm guessing so. That was something I'm guessing Goo was probably willing to live with in exchange for just that elite speed. Like with Stokes on the field, there ain't no way we're going to be repeating that Atlanta Falcons playoff game a few years ago where they just burned our corners all game long. Like Stokes will probably be the fastest or one of the fastest players on the field at all times when he's out there. So maybe like a Tyreek Hill, but not many other receivers are going to be outrunning at Eric Stokes, which is kind of cool to think about. Like he's going to be able to stick with just about any receiver, any fast receiver we other teams roll out there. So let's get into the video analysis. By the way, before we do it, shout out to all the guys, channels who will be covering today. They own all this content. They're the ones who went and put this stuff together. We're going to be kind of doing some secondary source analysis here on their videos. So props to everyone out there who did this. So, and I hope the quality comes through pretty good. So this is a good video of his like breakdown on like specific teams he played. So Florida is his first one coming up. So it does look like he does a pretty decent job of just kind of getting into the receiver. That's a play I feel like a lot of NFL receivers are going to make, though. They're going to make that catch on him, so he'll have to button that up.
Video's a bit choppy, but it's not terrible.
Is it? Yeah, let's see if I can. There, I optimized it for screen sharing. I'm not sure if that'll help or not.
Yeah, so I think that play right there is a good example of his closing speed. He was probably 6 yards away from the receiver when the ball was released, and he got there and made contact to break up the pass.
So what I like about this guy's video is he does slow the frames down a little bit. So it's going to come through as pretty choppy sometimes at times, but it's done on purpose to slow the video down. So I'm just trying to like project him to the NFL right now. Would an NFL receiver like a Chris Godwin or a Mike Evans, would they have, if they kept running, would they have made that play there?
So, I mean, what I notice about him is when he's playing press man, which it looks like Georgia had him play a lot of
Yep.
press. Um, he's pretty good at making early contact, trying to redirect. He's probably going to have to bulk up his upper body a bit to deal with NFL strength.
Yep.
I don't know if his redirection skills are elite at this point. But he is getting in there. He's not afraid to try to jam the receiver.
So he is a little bit bigger than Kevin King is. By the way, Kevin King's a couple inches taller, but he is a little bit heavier than Kevin. I think Kevin King was 178 pounds when wet.
Really, 178?
Yeah, 178 is what I saw earlier today when I looked it up. So,
oh geez, no wonder the guy's hurt all the time.
Yeah, I believe I saw that. That's some pretty nice ups there. Eric Stokes is in the 190 range. They're 192, I believe it was. So.
Yeah, I always feel a lot better about a player if they're close to 200.
Yeah.
Those sort of guys just seem to hold up better and have a thicker build.
All right, so it looked like, I'm not sure if this was him or not. It could have just been a blown coverage assignment, perhaps, but I don't think that one was on Stokes. So, all right.
Looking, yeah, so I did watch this video previously, and I believe what happened on that play was he was supposed to carry his coverage up into a quarter, but he ended up going onto the inside breaking route, which opened up. Devonte Smith was running a wheel, so once he got past the first flat coverage, he was open.
So you saw him in the slot on that one. He did give up the touchdown. He needs to work on getting his head turned around to make a better play on that ball. He never turned his head at all on that. Also, he's off the frame on that one picture, but he definitely got juked out of his shoes on that one. So it looks like he did struggle a little bit with Alabama.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So what stood out to me with Alabama is he had some footwork issues. Where if he's not getting an initial jam on a guy, or if he's not playing off zone, he could run into some problems. But thankfully we have, I think, one of the best defensive back coaches in the league. Footwork is something that can be improved.
Yeah. And he'll be working on that from day one. So he just might not get it in year one. Like he's not going to come in and just be, amazing. Even Jair Alexander, for as good as he is, he showed flashes, but he wasn't there in year one.
Right.
Made good strides in year two. It wasn't really until year three that he really came into like his own as a true shutdown. So I expect similar for Eric Stokes. You should definitely expect some bumps in the road in year one. Probably not going to come in and be a starter unless there's injuries, which is, it's why we brought Kevin King back, but he should see some time in the slot.
Yeah. I think that's one of the interesting things, because when you look at his body type, kind of a bigger guy, I didn't necessarily expect that he would be a slot guy.
Yeah.
But it does look like Georgia played him both inside and outside, so he is experienced there. So I think that gives him more of a chance to get on the field.
Yeah, I think you see him compete with Chandon Sullivan a lot to try to definitely split some of those slot snaps. So that was another footwork issue, I think. There just needs to button that up there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be interesting because Kevin King, he's been a starter in this league for some time. We all like to rip on Kevin King. He obviously had one of the all-time worst Packers plays in history the last time we saw him. But he has proven to be at least an average starter in this league over time. And there's rumors that he was playing hurt in the NFC Championship game, so he could bounce back. Chad and Sullivan, he kind of got abused in the championship game, and he was exposed a little bit throughout the year. But
He
the
couldn't
prior
keep
year,
up
like
in
the
that
prior
game.
year, he was rated as one of the top coverage corners in the NFL in a
Yeah.
smaller sample size. So it's very possible he could bounce back as well. Um, but I think Stokes is going to be putting pressure on both of those guys, and
Yeah.
whoever is not stepping up their game, Stokes will step in there, and
Yeah.
he's got the physical skills
I think
to
it's
make an
just a
impact.
win-win, really. Like he's got time to develop. He's not going to be pressured to start from day one. He's got a really high ceiling, and he's also going to put pressure on the existing cornerback room to literally be at their best because there's a guy nipping at their heels should they falter. So he's going to bring the best out on the current starters, while also pushing himself to be the best version of himself in year one. So I think it's a win-win, and we got, hopefully, if it pans out, we got ourselves a good starter opposite Jair going forward here into year two. So
Yeah, and I mean, I'll say my overall thoughts on Stokes. I we're not going to get beat deep with him. Short of blown coverage or whatever. He's super fast, and if you man him up with someone, he'll be able to defend the deep route.
yeah,
That said, some of the shorter stuff, he needs to gain some strength for his jams. I do think he's kind of susceptible to double moves. He
hmm
lacks a little bit of the hip fluidity. And every interception I saw him make, it seemed like he was in zone coverage. So he might be a guy who's better, kind of watching the quarterback's eyes and looking for where the ball's going. Um, so it'll be interesting to see how he's used. Right now, I think his strength is zone, but with his physical skill set, we could probably develop his strength into man if he improves his footwork.
So that play against Tennessee is interesting. It's definitely one of his most highly shown ones here. So if we use him in the slot like that, and with his speed, if they don't pick him up quick, he could rack up a couple sacks for us even early. That's something he can do as a rookie. Joe Barry could send him on those blitz from the slot,
Yeah.
from
And
that
actually,
star
dude, like
position,
I
really.
love this clip. I love this clip because that is
Yeah,
textbook form on a
yeah.
tackle. Some of the stuff I'd read about him is that he's a little hesitant to tackle. Um,
I didn't see it on that play though.
but yeah, at least in that clip, that was a textbook hit, force the ball loose. That's exactly what you want to see.
So yeah, I mean, he makes the splash plays here and there. He also shows some areas of improvement. So I mean, that speed just goes to show right there. I can't tell you the last time we had a guy with this type of speed on our team. Um,
He could be a big special teams contributor early on.
yeah, yeah, and that's another thing I noticed about this draft is I do think that Goop made an effort finally to like address the return game. Like, there's multiple guys who could, come in and be kick returners or punt returners with some pretty decent speed. So
Yeah,
I'm not
I mean,
saying they're,
not even like obviously the return positions are the sexy ones, but I can't tell you the number of times last year where our coverage units were just letting guys get
yeah,
10, 15 more yards than they should.
yeah.
We've got a
Imagine,
lot of guys in this draft who are probably going to improve our coverage units.
so if he's not starting for us, on a consistent basis, imagine putting Eric Stokes in there as the gunner. Um, Definitely will be helping. That's a great play on Denzel Mims, NFL wide receiver for the Jets right now. Um, yeah, I mean, I would love seeing him play as the gunner in his rookie year and really getting down there and preventing those punt returns. So
Yeah, I'll say one thing that has stood out to me about him, that historically speaking, this is something that's difficult to correct. He does not catch with his hands. Every one of those interceptions, they're going straight into his chest.
yeah,
He might, like, because of that, maybe he's not going to be a turnover machine. But he does, like I said before, he does
Yeah.
it sticky coverage. He's always with his guy. I think with some better footwork, he can probably position himself better.
Yeah, so I believe in his 3 years at Georgia, he didn't have a single interception in his first 2 years, and he had four last year. Um,
So
and they
arrows
really
pointing
came
up.
on. Yeah. At least it's arrows pointing up there. His so yeah, as you said, he might not be a ball hawk, but he provides the sticky coverage, and hopefully hopefully it works out. So moving on to an interesting pick, considering who was on the board, specifically Creed Humphrey, there who went the very next pick, the
Yeah,
center from
she
Oklahoma.
snatched him up. They like ran
Yeah,
him to the podium.
yeah, it was interesting because I was reading about the two. A lot of draft pundits were surprised by the pick too, because Creed Humphrey didn't allow a single sack his entire career at Oklahoma, whereas Josh Myers did give up a couple sacks last year, and I believe I read somewhere around like 11 pressures. Um, However, I believe Goop made this pick knowing that he fits the Packers scheme more. So Creed Humphrey might be, fundamentally sound as far as, his technique goes and not allowing pressures. It's not like Josh Myers was a bum at doing it either though last year. However, he was also the quarterback of the offensive line
Yeah.
at Ohio State, something that Corey Linsley was for us. So he's had experience doing that. He's very effective with shotgun snaps. Also something that we utilize a lot. Um, and he gets into the second level well for blocking, which is big on those pulls. So he,
Yeah.
I also read that Goot came out and he believes that Josh Myers can play both guard or center. So
Yeah,
I
I was
wouldn't,
gonna mention that. So Myers in high school, he actually played guard and was
yeah,
highly recruited at guard. Then he played center for Ohio State. So I don't think this is necessarily a slam dunk that he is the Corey Linsley replacement. I think this is going to be a case of he's an interior lineman, and we're going to
mhm,
try to get the best five on the field.
yeah,
Maybe we end up seeing Lucas Patrick at center and
we
Myers
could.
plays guard or something.
Yeah,
Um,
maybe he plays left guard or something. Maybe we kick Elton Jenkins out to right tackle. Maybe yeah, for now. Um, we also got to think about what we're going to do until David Bakhtiari comes back if he's not ready to go in week one. So I do think we're if anything we're super versatile on the line. So I
yeah,
do probably believe that Josh Myers probably has his long term future is probably as our center, but he might not start off as our center this year. If I do believe he should have a good shot, a legitimate shot of starting from day one, given his high draft statics, his was an ample amount of playing experience at Ohio State. So we'll just kind of check the tape on him. This was the breakdown from the actual draft here, which I thought they did a pretty good job of it. Not a whole lot of highlights out there for centers if you're looking. So
yeah. I mean, definitely the things that stood out to me were his history of quarterbacking the line
yeah,
at a big time program facing stiff competition. I kind of it almost makes me feel like this was a bit of a now pick of like who is going to be able to get in on that line right now and
yeah,
give us the best shot. Whereas like maybe Creed Humphrey would have been a better long term option, possibly. I know he was more athletic, but maybe Myers, with his intelligence and the competition he's faced, maybe he's the better short term option in
yeah.
the window we have.
Yeah, and as I said, he gave up a couple sacks, but I mean, he should improve. He's a young guard and should, I think the sky's the limit for him. So he should be a integral part of our line for multiple years. Um, Yeah, so I'm seeing on that poll right there, he does do a good job of getting up there. He's pretty athletic for a center. Um, something a lot
Yeah,
looks a lot like Corey Lindsley there, playing against that college level
yeah, he
competition
does
there. So
seem he seems to get to the second level pretty well.
yeah,
I will say one thing I've noticed in a few of these plays though, he seems to struggle a bit with the bull rush,
yeah.
which he's going to
Some
be facing some pretty good interior defensive linemen in the NFC North.
which also makes me wonder mean if that means we might also put him at guard to kind of start off, kind of sandwich in between like a maybe like a Bakhtiari and Lucas Patrick there, or sandwich in between like an Elton Jenkins, and if we have him at right tackle and a Lucas Patrick at center type thing. So we could see that
Yeah, I mean, I do
perhaps.
think this is a really interesting thing to talk about in that, Jenkins is in a small sample size, he's shown that he can play pretty well at right tackle. And as I said before, we've taken 6 offensive linemen in the past 2 drafts. Uh, where under the Ted Thompson era, we were always taking tackles and converting them to guard.
Yeah,
Um, a, a lot of these Gutekunst picks, they're they're really seen as more interior linemen,
yeah. Um,
possibly flexibility to go to the outside with some of them, like maybe like Runyon or Royce Newman, our 4th round pick
yeah.
this year. But I would say primarily these are seen as interior guys. So that really makes me think maybe we are looking at Jenkins as the long term solution at right tackle. Especially,
Perhaps.
I mean, if he's going to get paid either way, if you're going to pay the guy big bucks, maybe you want to pay him to play tackle instead of guard.
So, for those of you who did forget, Elton Jenkins was a center coming out of college too. He played center. Um, just like Josh Myers, Packers believed that he could play either guard or center. They got him into the building, realized he could play guard, center, and tackle. So, maybe uh, Goot's going back to the well, hoping he can get Elton Jenkins 2.0 there with Josh Myers. Uh, hey, finally go get a receiver. Everyone's been clamoring for a receiver. Number one offense in the league needed a number one receiver, a new receiver. They said, well, we finally got one. Round 3, Amari Rodgers broke the mold a little bit on what Goot's been bringing in for the Packers receiving room. Short, under 6 foot. He's going to be the only receiver in the receiving room under 6 foot. He's 5'10", but he's a pretty stocky 5'10". He's 212, which is, he's got some muscle on him. I was reading an analysis today on him that talked about how he plays like Randall Cobb. He's got Randall Cobb type ability in Ty Montgomery's body. And I thought that was probably a pretty good analysis. He probably fell around 3, probably due to not a great RAS score with a little bit of a typo there. 5.37, that's not a good RAS score. Randall Cobb came right out and said to a reporter that he sees Amari as a lot better version of himself. He said recently, so that's pretty telling. I'm not sure if he was just kind of giving the young man some encouragement or if he legitimately believes that. But another fun fact is Goot said that as soon as he got off of as soon as they made the Josh Myers pick, he turned around and said, uh, start calling teams. I want to try to move up and get Amari Rodgers. So he said he was trying to trade up the entire 3rd round. He had about 5 deals fall through in like the early and mid 3rd round. He finally found a trading partner with the Titans there, which moved him up like I don't know, 6 or 7 spots, not a ton, but yeah, supposedly Goot was trying to trade up all the 3rd round to go get this guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I heard that he considered taking him at 62 instead of
Yeah,
Myers. So I mean, it was certainly we kind of paid a steep price to move up those 6 or 7 spots. We gave up our earlier
4th.
4th round pick. If you look at the value chart, we did not get equal value in that trade. But clearly, this is a guy that Gutekunst had a second-round grade on. He wanted the player, and if the player works out, nobody's going to remember
Where he
that
was
we had to
drafted,
give
yeah.
up our higher fourth-round pick for him.
Good also believes that he's a complete receiver. Everyone's saying that due to his size, he's a slot receiver. Goot thinks he can play outside as well as inside and return punts. I definitely think he's going to probably be our primary punt returner day one, probably. And some other quick notes I saw from the tape I watched is I think he does a good job of finding soft spots in the defense. He also adjusts some errant throws pretty well. Something that hopefully he doesn't have to do too much of it in the NFL. He's really explosive into his routes and he's quick off the line. I think he's got to do a better job of beating press coverage. I don't think that's great right now, but what better guy to learn from than the best in the league in Devonte. So the tape I found out, have you watched any Amari tape yet?
Yeah, I have watched some, and so I'll say I was not a guy pounding the table for a wide receiver. Like I knew we needed one just because of the contract situations with most of our receivers only being signed through this year. But I was never a guy who's like, this offense needs a receiver to put us in the Super Bowl. That said, this Amari Rodgers pick is probably my favorite pick of the entire draft for the Packers. Um, like I don't like guys under 6 foot, but at 212, he's not going to be a little slot guy who gets hurt. Like he is going to be a durable, thick guy. He's got a running back build, but he doesn't play like a running back. When I watch his tape, this guy has hands. He snags every ball with his hands. He doesn't let it come into his body. He breaks tackles with that thick frame. I know his RAS score wasn't great. I think his 40 time was like in the 4.5s. Uh, but you know what? Antonio Brown's 40 time was in the 4.5s. Jerry Rice was in the 4.5s. Devonte Adams, I believe, was in the 4.5s. There's a difference between the 40 time and game speed, and this guy caught a lot of deep balls for Clemson. They were sending him on fly routes up the slot, and he would catch deep balls, and he can catch short balls in space. I think he's going to be a weapon, man. I think he
Yeah.
jet sweeps, handoffs,
Yeah, the Tyler
bubble
Irvin role.
screens. Like he's going to be big for us. And I do agree with you. I think he's probably has the first crack at punt returns.
Yeah, he's going to be all over on offense. He's our gadget player. He's going to be Randall Cobb like on steroids for us. You know, a little bit of Tyler Irvin role on those jet sweeps because LaFleur loves to do those pre-snap motions and do those like running back sweep plays and stuff. So yeah, Rodgers is I think out of besides Myers, I think Rodgers has the best shot of seeing significant playing time as a rookie and being a contributor from day one. So the video I have on Rodgers is unlike the ones I've showed in rounds 1 and 2. It's his it's the Senior Bowl one-on-one tape. So you get to see him in a vacuum going up against other NFL prospect corners, and he wins some, he loses some, but the job's on him. He knows the ball's going to him every time, and he's got to try to get open, run a different route and trying to get open. So, and it's also easy to keep track of him. You know where he is the entire time. So the video, I know this one's a little grainy.
His speed isn't good. He beat that guy pretty well.
Yeah, he doesn't win everyone, and some of the throws aren't perfect either. But so the video is going to show the same play twice, one from the side view and one from the end zone view.
See, look at that. Snags it with his hands.
Yeah, he's going to be doing a lot of that over the middle for the slot for us for sure. And that's a powerful grab. He goes up, catches it, and brings it right back into his body. That's a great release right there. I don't think he catches this ball. It's a poorly thrown ball, but that's a great break off the line. Really explosive. Yeah, that cornerback's just playing. He's just chasing that whole time. I believe that's probably a poorly thrown ball too, but yeah, this corner's definitely struggling to keep up with him. He's playing. He looks real fast against this corner at least.
Yeah, I was actually gonna say on the last play, it almost looked like this corner was playing half speed. So I don't know if they're really going as hard as if they're going all out or what.
That was a play I felt like he could have made. That cornerback stumbled a little bit. He should easily catch that,
Yeah.
and he does.
So
Tiptoes the
it seems
line.
like at least from this practice footage, um, it seems like he kind of struggles a little bit on the boundary routes where he's got close coverage.
Yeah.
But anything over the middle, he seems to be really just abusing his man.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to be doing too much boundary for us too, though, with our really tall receivers. I think he's going to do a lot of stuff over the middle and short.
Yeah, yeah, I see it the same. Honestly, I just given his build and in what I watched of him, he could break some tackles. I kind
Like
of
that
see
when he's got to
should have
catch
caught
that.
that. I kind of see him fill in like the Debo Samuel role.
Yeah.
Our offense has a lot of similarities to the 49ers, Kyle Shanahan offense. And they've been making this movement to position those players, wide receivers who can run the ball and break tackles. And we're kind of trying to do the same thing. I could
Mhm.
really see Amari Rogers being our Debo Samuel.
So the corner does a good job of shutting him down here. He plays sticky coverage, really nowhere. He really has nowhere to go. That was just good coverage by the corner. Pretty good route there. You can tell the cornerback definitely let up there at the end though. Um, yeah, likely gets tackled there in the NFL. That corner played very far off, but he could see those in the pros too though. So yeah, actually, I like that route by him. That was a good stutter step with a quick break. I'd probably have stuttered too. So
Yeah, I just love
good.
seeing him snag the ball with his hands.
Yeah,
You
he's
know,
got a nice, powerful grab.
yeah,
I would like to do some more research on see what size hands he has. He probably has really big hands for a 5'10" guy.
yeah, dude. I wish MVS would grab the ball like this.
Right? Ah, give MVS Amari Rogers hands and whew, he's definitely getting a second contract.
Oh man, like I said, I'm excited about this pick. I think we talk about this Tyler Irvin jet sweep role, um, which it's kind of sad that we've named it the Tyler Irvin role as if he's some elite player. He's like an undrafted free agent who we picked up off of someone's
Yeah.
practice squad. He can't stay healthy. He gets, maybe one touch a game. If you put a real player in that role,
Oh,
we've been trying to put in guys like we'll have like MBS run the jet sweep. MBS is lanky. It's like a Randy Moss kind of thing. He doesn't quite have the suddenness for that, inside behind the line of scrimmage stuff. Amari
yeah.
Rogers, he fits that kind of role, and I think he's going to be a heck of a lot better than Tyler Irvin ever was.
I agree. I would agree with that. So this will move us on to let me resume the share here to our day 3 pick, which is Royce Newman out of Ole Miss. He's 6'5". I believe every offensive lineman we drafted was 6'5", uh, which is interesting. 310. Um, I got this really cool, quick size comparison thing that I found today when I was looking him up. He's almost got identical size and athleticism to Brian Bulaga testing out college. So uh, credits to Zach Kraus for finding this. But height's the same, weight's pretty much the same. He's got half inch longer arms. Uh, the 40 time is a little bit faster. Vertical jump, which probably doesn't mean much for an offensive lineman. Yeah, I mean, 3 less for the bench press, but pretty identical. So I'm not saying he is Brian Balaga, but numbers are the same, measurements are the same. So
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. Newman's a guy I personally don't know a whole lot about. I haven't had the chance to watch his tape. From what I understand, this past year he played guard, but before that he played tackle. Is that correct?
yes,
Yeah, so
yep.
maybe he does have some of that Brian Balaga tackle
Yeah.
in him. We don't know.
I mean, who knows? I mean, nobody really knows how any of our draft picks are going to pan out until they actually get out onto the field and start playing. And we won't really be able to assess them until probably 3 years later, you know? So, but he's got upside and good upside. He already has good fundamentals and good technique, plays with power. He sets up very well with pass protection, which will work very well against those speedy guards or those speedy edge rushers if he's playing tackle for us. And he's got a good ability to use angles, knows how to like push defenders out of the way, even if he tends to look like he's getting beat by an edge defender. He's still got the ability and the athleticism to move the edge rusher enough out of the way, just enough to allow the quarterback to maybe step up in the pocket to avoid a sack or just kind of make a last ditch saving effort, you know, on those really elite pass rushers. So not a whole lot of tape on him being a day 3 pick, but found a little bit on him that we'll be able to watch. So I want to go back. I mean, just look at the snap. He's the first one off the line.
That was sudden.
Yeah, first one off the line easily. Like, almost looked like it might have been an offensive or a false start. Like, he's fast getting off that line. Like to see that. Does a good job sealing the block too. Good pancake block there. Keeps driving. I've noticed both of these. He keeps driving. Footwork looked all right there.
Ooh, NFL, he would have gotten beat bad there. He bit on the inside. And
Yeah.
had time to recover to the outside. That ain't gonna fly against Khalil Mack.
Yeah, a knock on him is that he's got an ability to lunge at the defender to try to get power into his block by lunging at him, and he could be faked out that way. So it's something he definitely needs. I mean, all day 3 picks have to work on something. You know, that's why they fall that far. But we got good offensive line coach, so
that we do.
So held up well there.
Yeah, and I mean this is going against LSU, so
Yeah.
talking some top competition there.
So I'm gonna throw out a sleeper. I would not be totally surprised if he starts as our right tackle day 1. I'm not saying he is. I think the odds are against him, but if he shows good, I mean, he's a true right tackle for us, so he's going to be given every chance to compete for that right tackle job. And I do think Green Bay would like to keep Jenkins on the inside. I do believe Jenkins is our his future is on the inside, but they might try him at right tackle. But it depends on the other 5. I think like the best 5 will start. Let's not forget Billy Turner. Billy Turner could play right tackle for us. So.
Well, I mean, I think when Bakhtiari comes back to left tackle, I think right tackle is Billy Turner's for sure.
Yeah,
he
but I mean, like that's why I said like starting the year off. I could see like Billy Turner being our left tackle and Royce Newman being the right tackle if he.
I mean, it's certainly possible. It's
odds are
it's
against
not
them.
uncommon for rookie offensive linemen to start. But I mean, I will say this: I would expect John Runyon Jr. Or Elton Jenkins to be at right tackle before Newman. Um, but whatever we do, I think the name of the game this training camp is going to be competition, and the best five are getting on that line.
Yeah, they said that last year, and I firmly believe it more so than ever this year. The best five will start, and we're gonna have
And
good depth too.
yeah, let's not forget. Last year, uh, Stepaniak, he was kind of a medical redshirt. He fell in the draft
Hmm.
due to some medical issues, knowing that he wouldn't be ready to start. And we did get him activated toward the end of the year. He might have been like a round 3 pick or something had he been healthy.
Yeah,
So I think
he's
that's
a
a dark horse guy no one's talking about.
he's a big, powerful guy too. Real
Yeah.
powerful.
So I mean, it's man, this offensive line is going to be fun to watch.
Yeah. Talk about big guys. This guy might have been one of the biggest, if not the biggest, football players in this draft, and we're talking T.J. Slayton. Uh, his weight's been all over the place. He's been as heavy as 370 pounds.
Big boy.
He says his playing weight right now is at 330. I believe last year was at 350. He said he would like to get down to I think 310 or 320 by the start of the season. So we'll see. He's a 6'4" defensive lineman. He's played both nose tackle, and three technique at Florida. I think that definitely appeals to Green Bay because then they can use them interchangeably with Kenny Clark. I do see T.J. Slayton, being a rotational piece fairly early on in year one. He might not get a ton of snaps, but he's definitely going to be in there on those like third and shorts or those goal line plays because he's so big. He's got massive body with good power. He does snap off the line well, uses his lower body strength well. Doesn't have too many pass rush moves, like pretty much none. He bull rushes, and he does have some sacks on his resume. I don't think it's because of like technique. I think it's just because of his power and his bull rush ability. So I'd
Yeah,
like to
I
see
mean,
him
that was
develop
one
that.
interesting thing that stood out to me when I was reading up on him. Is that you look at this guy who played at 350 or whatever, and you expect him to just be a space-eating nose tackle. He has some athleticism to him, which I think really appeals to the Packers. So it's to me he fits the Tyler Lancaster body type, um, but more athletic. So early on, the question is going to be, um, who is gonna be more stout against the run? Lancaster has the experience, but if Slayton can, if he can show some stoutness, I think he's got more upside than Lancaster, and he could see the field early.
Well, I'm going to throw one up, yeah, on that one. With the pick of Slayton here, depending on how he looks in train camp, could Lancaster be a roster day cut?
Certainly possible.
I mean, he was an undrafted free agent. He's been serviceable. Um, I think he definitely has outplayed his draft status for sure for us, but I don't know. I think the pick of TJ Slayton definitely rules out us bringing back snacks. Absolutely. So I definitely don't think
Yeah,
we see
yeah, I don't know,
snacks
man.
back.
We signed snacks, we never used them.
Yeah.
It was just I don't know why we went and signed all those late season guys and didn't use them. Kevin King was getting his lunch money taken in the championship game, and we didn't want to put Jamal Williams out there. There's some weird end of the season moves for us.
Yeah. So this big man, I read, can do a backflip. Haven't seen it. Heard he can do a backflip. That's impressive. I did see a picture of him on like a vertical jump. Big man's got some ups. Uh, Another fun fact: he was actually a five-star high school recruit coming out of high school for guard. He actually signed his letter of intention to Florida as an offensive guard, and later switched to defensive tackle. So who knows, Cody? In a pinch, maybe we flip him back to guard if all 12 guys that we have on the line just magically go down. But watch a little bit of tape on this big man here. And he is a big man, but moves well. He moves really well for like probably playing at about 350 here.
Yeah, I mean, for a guy that big, it's not like he's got a massive gut or anything. People like Gilbert Brown or Haloti Nada,
Or
they seemed like fatter guys. He seems, I don't know, he just seems like a big bone boy.
yeah, I mean, and I know these highlight tapes are showing the best of the best here, but gives you a good indicator. He seems to have a good motor. Once he starts winning against those interior offensive linemen, he's got that power and that drive where he's going to win. He just has to find a good angle and get a good bull rush move. So I'm excited to see what him and Kenny could potentially do together on that line.
Yeah, it'd be a lot of beef up front.
Like in due time, I can see those two being the two guys, when we go for like on those like those 2-5-4 or the 2-4-5 type formations with just two down linemen. You want those two big beefy boys down
nice
low
on that play.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean we're talking a 5th round pick right here. Kingsley Kiki was a 5th round pick.
Yeah.
And he really started coming on at the end of last year. Honestly, I think he's kind of a breakout candidate for this year.
Yeah, I'm pretty high on Kingsley.
That 5th rounder is definitely starter potential. Maybe not year 1, but in the near term.
I don't love our defensive line depth, but based on what we play, I don't hate it with TJ Slayton here.
He just pushed that dude.
Oh yeah. Here's against LSU. Here's some good competition. Lays that quarterback into the dirt. Yeah, 350-pound men probably shouldn't be able to army crawl that fast, I feel. Yeah, once this big boy gets his hands on you, it's going to be tough to the only quarterback that might be able to get out of this is Josh Allen once he gets his hands on you. So,
yeah, I'll say this for a big guy, he definitely shows hustle. Like he's not giving up on these plays after getting past the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, he's got a good motor, and I like seeing that. I like seeing this dude's motor. Like this big man's all the way out there, like beyond the hashes, trying to make a play.
Well, yeah, dude, that's ball awareness right there. You don't see a nose tackle picking up fumbles very often.
Right. That's a good inside move by him right there. I kind of want to go back to that right at the end there. He shows a good stunt move on 65 there. Go back to it one more time here. So it's this play right here. Stunts him, fakes inside, goes outside, gets a good move on him.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, like I said, he's got some athleticism on the inside.
Yeah. So, I mean, these guys all look good on tape with their highlights. Obviously, he's going to have stuff to work on, but I like what I see. I'm going to temper my expectations. But if he gets coached up good, keeps his weight down, keeps building his strength, and also perhaps develops a few more pass rush moves there. Who knows? Could be a sneaky good rotational piece on our line.
Yeah, and I mean that's almost any defensive lineman you take in the draft. They need to work on improving their play strength. That's the nature of line play when you get to the NFL level. I would say probably the most concerning thing about him, and probably why he went in the 5th, is letting his weight balloon out of control. If you get up to 370 at one point, that's not really playing weight. But if he can get his head on straight and say like, hey, I'm a professional now, I need to watch what I'm putting in my body. Who knows? He could be starting for us in a year.
Yeah, he could. And I will give credit to the Green Bay staff. They've revamped their their whole diet and weight training regime there, like a whole new food bar. I kind of read all about it there last summer. Whole lot more emphasis on providing players more, like doing more analysis on what players put into their body and designing basically like food plans for every single player out there on the team, which is pretty nice. So I'm sure they'll
Yeah,
have a
man.
plan for him.
Honestly, I would expect nothing less at the NFL level. It's
Yeah,
disappointing we weren't doing that before.
right. This guy, Shamar Jean Charles, not a whole lot out there on him because he went to a really small school with Appalachian State. Um, I mean, this guy, uh, right off the bat, according to PFF, he was ranked the 16th best player in all of college football in 2020. Not just like the 16th best corner, the 16th best player in all of college football. That's crazy. Um, and I know he didn't play elite competition there, but again, if you're even playing lesser talent, if you consistently lock the other team's receivers down, you should if you're going to be an NFL player and get drafted, playing that lesser talent. He did though. He doesn't have his athleticism doesn't pop off the charts. He's like kind of the opposite of an Eric Stokes in terms of athleticism, but he's just a good football player.
Yeah, I mean that's
You know,
actually that's an interesting theme in this draft. That historically speaking, there's this reputation that Gutekunst, he's just nuts for RAS scores, and it's just all everyone's got to be over a
no,
9 RAS. Not in this draft. I think Gene Charles is what, like the third player we've taken with a sub 5 RAS score.
yeah, Amari Rogers didn't have a great one. Shamar Jean Charles didn't. I mean, Eric Stokes was off the charts. I didn't look up what Josh Myers was. I think his was pretty good. I think Josh Myers might have been like a 9.09 or something.
Okay.
So, but yeah, that was a knock that I believe I had a conversation with someone about how I just want Goot to take good football players. Like, forget the measurables or the RAS scores. Like, if you can just play football, you're a football player. And this guy seems like a football player. He's going to come in and immediately be a special teams ace for us. He's got great vision, I feel, and he's really versatile. So he could play outside, he can play inside or safety. So who knows where he's going to find a home? Just gives Joe Barry another piece to work with, and I'm excited to watch some tape on him. I haven't really watched a whole lot of tape on him so far, so this will be one of my first times now breaking it down
Yeah,
too.
I
So
haven't seen any tape on him yet, so I'm definitely interested. I mean, the impression that I get uh, just from reading up on him, he kind of reminds me of like a Ladarius Gunter,
yeah,
in that like Gunter, he had great technique and instincts, and he could hold up against some receivers. He just lacked the physical skills necessary. I think the big difference with Gunter is he was like exclusively an outside corner.
yeah.
Gene Charles, he can play the inside, where it's not always as important to have elite physical skills.
hmm So he'll be number 8 out here if we can keep track of him without the arrows. Hopefully they'll show a replay of that. That probably
Well,
looked like a good
yeah, you
play.
just throw in a double coverage there. It's
Yeah.
just a bad play by the quarterback.
Yeah. So when you get that and the type of competition they're playing, you better make that pick. That looked like a pretty good play there. Again, we are talking 6th-round draft pick. So I think that's
Well,
probably
at
right
least
there
he's
where
catching what's thrown to him.
he got lit up there too. Yeah. Showed that good vision. He got his head around quick to make that play. So his head actually never left the quarterback the whole time. Pretty.
That that's some good closing bursts there,
Yeah.
and aggressive. And he looks like he tries to make plays on the ball.
Yep, he does look like it. Yep. It looked like he might have been trying to go for the pick there, even on that play. Not sure if that one will be a highlight. I think that's just sticky coverage right there. Yeah, that's just sticky coverage by him.
One thing that is standing out to me is on a lot of these plays, he seems to do a pretty good job of getting his head around to the ball as it's arriving, which is actually something I think Eric Stokes struggles with a little bit.
Yeah, it's funny because I did make a comment like that earlier, like with the athleticism, he kind of seems to be the opposite of Eric Stokes in a lot of ways. So I wonder if there's a way. I wonder if Goot's master plan is to somehow like merge these two players into one. Just use some like fusion technique to merge them. Eric Stokes, Gene Charles. That's some pretty good burst there. He doesn't look like a big guy though.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Definitely looks small. And also, small guy who doesn't have elite athletic traits, he's probably not going to be much of a special teams contributor. Which for your back of the roster guys, that is a big thing. So he's going to have to make his hay on
Yeah.
defense, I think.
Yeah, he's gonna have to
definitely. He plays the ball. He's always looking for the ball.
Yeah, he's going to have to carve out a role for him on this defense because we have a really talented secondary, and there's no way this guy's going to come in and he shouldn't get any meaningful snaps any time really this season. Really a developmental piece, I feel. But
yeah, probably a guy who's going to be competing with like Kadar Holman.
Yeah, he's going to be one of those guys that's going to be on that back end talent there, just kind of round out the bottom of the roster. And hopefully, one of those guys that just kind of keeps honing his craft. And when his number's called, can go out there and be a solid contributor. Kind of like, I'm going to forget his name there in the Super Bowl when Charles Woodson went down. Actually, Jarrett Bush.
Bush.
Yeah.
Jarrett Bush was a special team staple for years, though.
Yeah.
He just kept getting better and better on defense until he finally carved out a role for himself.
Right. So Cody, I made I think in my mock draft, I actually mocked Cole Van Lanning to Green Bay. I think it might have been.
This is the only one we got.
Yeah. I think it was it might have been around 6. It was either around 6 or 7. I love Cole Van Lanning. I think this is a great value pick for them for where they got him. We're talking a tackle / guard that earned PFF's highest graded offensive tackle in all of college football his sophomore year in 2018. So this guy was well on his way to being a day one bona fide pick. Then the injury bug hit him for 2 straight years, 2019 and 2020. And the concern with this is usually when you start having those injuries in college, they transfer over to the NFL and you never fully can kick them, which is, why we're taking a flyer on him in round 6. But the talent's there, man. The talent's there if he can regain
the injuries he suffered. What kind of injuries they were?
I can look them up. I can't remember. I think one was a foot and one might have been an Achilles. I don't think he tore his Achilles though. I will look that up there while we're watching some tape on him. He's a very good run blocker. Got good RAS, very athletic, 9.07. He's an aggressive player, creates nice seals on run blocks. He's definitely a lot better at run blocking than pass blocking. He played tackle at Wisconsin for the most part. I project him at guard in the NFL just based on his arms and his general size. I think he would really struggle. He doesn't really have that elite those elite measurables that you would want in an NFL tackle. But at guard, he could really carve out a nice role. I mean, who knows? I mean, this is a great value pick for Green Bay. Sky's the limit for this guy. Could find a late round gem, and even if you don't, our room is loaded with other good talent that that's just going to kind of be no knock on anything. So he reminds me a lot of I'm having a hard time. We've been talking about so many players. I'm going to forget the guy we just cut there a couple of years ago that we took on day 3 who sat out for a year, but it'll
Oh,
come to
Cole
me.
Madison.
Yep, Cole Madison. So we'll watch. And he went to a Wisconsin who is known for producing quality offensive linemen. I mean,
Yeah,
they
I
are.
did see we, in addition to Van Lanen, we signed as an undrafted free agent another Wisconsin lineman.
Did we? Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll watch a little bit of tape on Cole Van Lanen. 6'5", 312.
So he's out there at left tackle.
Yeah.
I mean, he's sticking with his blocks like that. That
Yeah.
pass rusher had tried 2 or 3 moves on him, and he stuck with it.
Out of a 6th-round pick, I'm liking what I'm seeing.
I see what you mean about the run blocking. He's taking a lot of inside runs, driving his man back. Yeah, man. I don't know. Yeah, like you said, we're talking 6th-round pick here. He looks pretty darn good.
Yeah, and he's out there at tackle, and he's projected as a guard, man. And he's playing Michigan on this tape, right? They're not pushovers. Those are NFL quality defensive linemen there. Michigan's got a good football team. He's just look at that seal.
Hell,
What
they
a
got
seal.
a Super Bowl winning coach as
Yeah.
their head coach there. And he's playing on an island. A lot of these snaps, he's not getting help. He's out there on his own.
Oh yeah. He was one of the better offensive linemen on that line. So.
And he stays engaged until the end of the whistle.
So yeah, I mean, there's a reason why I was high on him and I mocked him to us in our in the one we did. And when I was actually out on the golf course when on day 3, and when I saw that come through, that we took Cole Van Lanen 6th round, did a fist pump, hit my longest drive of the day on my next shot too. I was just like all jacked up, jazzed up, really pumped to get Cole Van Lanen in the building. I'm gonna automatically one of my favorite offensive linemen in that room. I hope that he can continue to develop, work on that pass block, and then find a home for us one day on our starting lineup. So,
I mean, let's make no mistakes about it though. He's got an uphill battle just to make the roster right now.
Yeah,
he was the 3rd lineman taken in this draft. And as I said, 3 taken in the last draft. It's gonna be tough going. So if he ends up being on the 53, that shows something. I think he's probably a practice squad guy, but if he's on the 53, wouldn't surprise me to see him playing meaningful snaps.
So it's probably best done for another podcast when we want to kind of project the our 53-man roster. But I wrote it down the other day, all the offensive linemen that we are bringing into camp and from drafting, and the numbers and saying there's no way we're going to carry this many people on the starting line. How many offensive linemen do you think we carry on our active roster? Like, there's probably no way we do 10.
It's
Maybe,
possible.
yeah. I mean, we could easily do it. So, all right, just quickly off the top of my head, you got David Bakhtiari,
Well, so
Elton Jenk.
let's say Bach starts on the PUP. Let's take him out of the equation
Okay.
and just start week 1.
All right, so you got Elton Jenkins, Billy. I'm counting on my hand right now. Elton Jenkins, Billy Turner, Lucas Patrick, John Runyon, Simon Stepaniak, Jake Hansen, Cole Van Lanning, Josh Myers, Yosh Nijman, Royce Newman.
So that's 10 without Bakhtiari.
Yeah, it's 10 without Bakhtiari, and we brought some camp heads in. And I've heard Green Bay is really high on Yosh Nijman. Like, I literally read today that there's a legitimate shot based on how much they've liked his growth over the last 3 years developing. He could be our spot starter at left tackle going into week 1 if David Bach's not ready.
I mean, dude, when you consider they have made a point of keeping him around for 3 years. They've brought
Yeah.
him up to the active roster at times to protect him so no one could poach him from the practice squad.
I
They like Nijman.
and I
You know,
believe they even offered him multiple bonuses to like keep him on our practice squad when other teams wanted to poach him or something like that. So
yeah. I mean, if we try him out there at left tackle, I'm not going to feel very comfortable.
uh,
But he could very well be our swing tackle this season. That wouldn't surprise me.
yeah. Um Interesting to say. I mean, I love what we have for we we have to have the deepest offensive line in the NFL. So
I don't know, man. Kansas City just went ham on drafting linemen and signing linemen. They saw Mahomes get his ass handed to him in the Super
yeah,
Bowl, and they said,
yeah,
"All right, buddy, we're gonna make sure you never get sacked again."
yeah. No one's happier uh, with the draft than Patrick Mahomes. So it brings us. We got 2 more picks left on not counting our undrafted, which we'll save for another day. But Isaiah McDuffie, I did see that Goop came out and said that he was a little bummed that there was a run on inside linebackers because he wanted to take an inside linebacker earlier in the draft than what he did, like early on day 3. We're talking like round 4 or so, and it just didn't happen. He said the board didn't fall that way, so he was thinking inside linebacker, but found a guy in the 6th round with Isaiah McDuffie. Um, he's an undersized linebacker, but that's whatever. Zach Thomas was an undersized linebacker, and look what he did. Um, I mean, I'm not comparing Isaiah McDuffie to Zach Taylor, but he makes athletic plays. He's a sound tackler. He's got good awareness and coverage. He's not a liability in coverage. Tackling machine, 107 tackles, 6.5 of them for loss, 3 sacks, 1 pick, 1 fumble recovery for Boston College, who plays in the ACC, and they play some pretty decent schools. They played Clemson.
Hey, I mean, if he's from Boston College, he would have been tackling AJ Dillon in practice.
Yeah. Um, 7.52 RAS average. I mean, just average athleticism. 4.58 40 time, rounded up about 4.6. Um, Watching the tape, I like what I see on tape. He's going to be good def. I could see him potentially beating out like Ty Summers if because I don't see us probably carrying a ton of inside backers on the 53. I'm actually really interested to see what we do with Oren Burks. Uh, so
It,
he's not going to be on our defense at this point, but I know they absolutely love him on special teams. He's a stud on special teams. If we keep him, it's purely for special teams, but I don't know if that's going to be enough to keep him on the squad anymore at this point. So
I actually think at some point in the near future we should probably do an entire podcast devoted to analyzing the new Joe Barry defense because guys like Oren Burks and Josh Jackson, uh, I probably would write them off if we were sticking with Mike Pettin. They just haven't shown enough in the Pettin defense. But with a new defensive coordinator, you never know. Maybe it gives
Yeah,
those guys a second life, puts them in a better position. I mean,
you
Joe
know, I was
Barry is an inside linebackers coach. That is his background. Maybe he gets something out of Warren Burks that we haven't yet. Who knows?
you know,
But right
I
now, yeah, I think he probably gets cut before Ty Summers.
when I was writing down the players roster the other day, just to for my own amusement, and I got to Josh Jackson. I uh, I didn't want to write him off because I've always, had a soft spot for Josh Jackson being a second round pick, and hell, he's who I wanted them to take in round one. Thank God they didn't. But um, I'm like, I was so excited when he fell to round two and we took him. I'm like, what a steal. Hasn't worked out that way, but I do know that they really liked Josh Jackson when they kept him at outside corner. The issue was that it needed an injury in order for him to be activated to do it. So now with Eric Stokes, if Joe Barry can utilize him good and he continues to improve at outside corner, if Kevin King goes down, one would assume Eric Stokes could take that over, but I don't know. Maybe I'm being biased or naive, but I wouldn't rule out Josh Jackson, being a spot starter outside if he continues to develop, and if we strictly keep him at outside, that would allow us to keep Eric Stokes on the inside there with Chan Sullivan. So
Yeah, I mean it's definitely interesting. The fact that they've decided they don't want him on the inside. That he's exclusively an outside guy. Uh, and I think the big issue with him is, he doesn't have the speed to play man to man. He's a zone guy. We are moving into a more zone based scheme. But like you said, man, like Eric Stokes is probably first up at this point. Um, so I almost wonder, unless Josh Jackson like really balls out during OTAs, I wonder if we try to make a training camp transition to safety where we do lack a little bit of depth. Maybe he could be a center fielder type. The dude led the nation in interceptions his final season in college. Like he can play the ball, he can read the quarterback's eyes. He just kind of has to be in zone. But we're getting off topic. This is a different podcast. But Josh Jackson is probably the most interesting backup on defense to me.
right, right. Well, let's try not to get too far off topic. We'll watch a little tape on Isaiah McDuffie, what we were originally here for. I like what I see on tape from him. He reminds me a little bit of like a Blake Martinez. He's just he's your typical chase and see ball, go get ball type player.
I am surprised to see 6 minutes of highlights for an inside linebacker taken in the sixth round. Um, I guess that says something good that people felt like there was enough to put
Yeah.
together 6 minutes.
Um, Makes a couple splash plays here and there. Like that was a pretty decent interception there over the middle against I didn't see where they were playing there.
Duke.
Duke. Good. But like,
Ooh,
yeah, hit that hole good there. Is this your first time seeing
yeah,
McDuffie? Yeah, I mean, he's
he's
aggressive.
got
He plays,
suddenness.
yeah, he plays with a good motor.
Man, he looks fast and aggressive compared to
Hmm.
everyone else on the field right now.
Now, what's interesting with McDuffie is even though he's a 6th round pick, we have an undrafted guy starting for us right now. I mean, who knows? I mean, that's the one spot where like maybe if McDuffie balls out, who knows? Maybe he does start there. I don't foresee it happening, but when you
You
got
know,
Chris
I
Barnes there, who
I
knows?
know we're in a cap stretch right now, and obviously there's a whole lot going on, a lot of
That's a
unknowns
great
with
play.
Rodgers and everything. It would shock me if we don't find the room to sign some middle linebacker at the vet minimum. Just going into the season with the most experienced guy we have is Ty Summers.
And I don't think Ty Summers is locked to make the team at this point.
Yeah, like it would really, really surprise me if we don't try to get some
He's aggressive.
veteran depth. Even if the veteran's not a starter, I think we probably try to get someone in there to coach up the young guys.
So Joe Barry is a linebackers coach, by the way. Like his background is in linebackers. So
Wait, so they're playing Carolina right now, who they
that's
had
Devonte
two of the
Williams.
top backs in the draft,
Yeah.
Devonte Williams and Michael Carter.
Yeah.
So this is some good tape to be watching.
Nice. I like that. He's aggressive. I like the way he plays. Really good motor.
Dude,
Look at that speed.
He is fast, and I'm not seeing any missed tackles with him. He doesn't always have textbook form, but he's bringing guys down.
I think the issue with him is his aggressiveness probably can become it benefits him and also is a liability. Like he'll over pursue things, I feel like at times. If he takes a bad angle. Like he probably needs to work on his angles more, but that's coachable. I mean, this kid plays with a. Where is he? All right, just finishing up the play there. Like to see it. Comes around the edge, doesn't give up, doesn't assume his teammate.
Yeah, that looks like a play where I don't know if he was spying or in coverage, but like he recognized what was going on and then.
Did you see that play against Clemson? He pulled him back. He pulls this running back, doesn't allow him to get any more yards. He's like, not today, young man. Like that. He's got some good power. He's got some good size arms on him. Oh, stops him again at the goal line. One of many.
Dude, we're talking a first-round running back right here that he's going against.
Yeah, they're playing Clemson right now.
Nice backside pursuit.
Second and 2, and he gets a tackle for a loss against Clemson, number one ranked team in the nation. 3rd and 1 and stops him.
You know what? I'm gonna say if this guy was an inch taller and 15 pounds heavier, we might be talking a day 2, like a round 2 or 3 pick. I don't know.
Yeah.
Everything on this tape is really impressing me so far.
And he's got 6 minutes of it. And he had 107 tackles, and I believe they only played 10 games. So.
And dude, I'll say this: of all the positions in football, for me, like when I look historically, inside linebacker is just one of those positions where late round undersized guys can go on to have long successful careers.
Yeah, well,
because I think instincts at middle linebacker probably matter more than any position in football.
Yeah, that's what Joe Barry said when he asked about Chris Barnes. He said like his athleticism wasn't off the charts, but he liked that Chris Barnes had good instincts, and that's what makes him a good football player. And yeah, I mean, just what you just said, piggyback off that, Chris Barnes is an undrafted inside linebacker and easily beat out Oren Burks. You know, who was a 3rd round linebacker. Everyone beat out Oren Burks, who was drafted later than him. So Ty Summers beat out Oren Burks. He was a 7th round.
Let's not forget we traded up for Oren Burks.
Yeah, I think we had better. I think Goot fell in love with his RAS and his versatility there, and it just didn't work out. He couldn't shed blocks. So, man, for a 6th round pick, I like what I saw on tape from Isaiah McDuffie.
Well, and hey, man, I think you brought up an excellent point here in that, right now we're starting an undrafted free agent and a 5th round pick. It's entirely possible Isaiah McDuffie plays the most meaningful snaps of anybody in this draft class.
I would agree. I would agree. So yeah, he's going to be someone to keep an eye on. Getting that in, he could play some meaningful snaps from day one. Hopefully, Goop finds a gem there in round 6. It brings us to our last pick. I read that I was reading some draft profiles and some scouting reports on Kylan Hill, and some guys thought that he could go on day 2 as like a third round running back.
Yeah, yeah, I'd heard the similar things.
Yeah, and he fell to the 7th round, probably mainly due to one, the program that he was in, Mississippi State, not the biggest uh, football powerhouse, and a poor RAS score with a 4.48, which is pretty poor for athletically speaking from a running back. That's a position you would want a high RAS in, but he shows good instincts. Has a decent 4.5 40 time with a 4.5. He doesn't seem to show like a ton of, I think from what I was reading, doesn't show a lot of like multiple gears. He's not going to be like an explosive home run hitter, but he's good enough to hit holes and get, positive yardage. And, but he's not going to be like an Aaron Jones that can, show patience, hit the hole, and then boom, next thing you know, he turns it into like, you know, an extra gear and takes it in, takes it to the house there. But
Well,
he's
but
a
I mean,
good,
honestly, let's look at the running back we just lost, Jamal Williams. He was a 4th round pick, actually selected before Aaron Jones,
yeah,
and a lot of what you just described fits Jamal Williams to a T.
yeah,
North-south runner. He can pick up, turn out some yards, catch some balls, but he doesn't have the home run speed, doesn't have a second gear. Um, you know, Jamal Williams is showing there's a role on the team for guys like that. And if we could potentially find that in the 7th round, which is honestly pretty common to do, I think that'd be a heck of a 7th round pick for us.
yeah. And if you read some of the notes that I jotted down just from my own um, research, reads a lot like the things that Jamal Williams was good at. So he's got good running ability and he's a good pass catching running back too. I think he caught something like 22, like 20 something balls last year. He's a north to south runner and he's patient. He waits for the hole to develop behind line of scrimmage, and then he hits it. He's at college. Um, he was an outstanding blocker, got good vision. He picks up blitz as well. And he's willing to sacrifice his body. He does a good job of squaring up his body in the hole as the blitzer's coming through. And and we know that's something that Rodgers values.
Yeah,
Is
man.
running
Yeah,
backs
for
like you're
sure.
not going to play unless you can run block. So
Yeah. For a young guy, if you can pass block, that's probably going to be your easiest ticket onto the field,
right
to be honest. And
now,
also, I just want to point out, uh, not saying that this is going to have any effect on his football ability, but look at the guns on that guy. Those
yeah.
biceps, those pythons.
Oh yeah, I picked that one on purpose. I picked that one. I was hoping you were gonna say something. Yeah, I mean, just wait till you see the tape on him. I watched a couple. I haven't watched all the tape, but I watched a couple minutes, and I was like, I know they're highlights, and you gotta take them with a grain of salt, but the highlights look nice for a 7th round pick. Um,
Well, hey man, 7th round for running back position, you can find guys like that.
and he looks quick for a guy who doesn't have like crazy explosive speed. They say like he's still quick.
I mean, Derrick Henry doesn't have crazy explosive speed. you know,
Yeah, well
there's still a spot in
he's also the
football.
Hulk.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm saying is like there's a spot for guys who
Yeah.
have a feel for finding holes and getting yards.
Yeah.
Every carry doesn't have to be a home run.
So a knock that you'll probably see on these is um, he's aggressive and he keeps turning his legs and he's got good power, but he also like invites contact, like kind of like a Jamal Williams. He's not going to try to juke you or spin move you. He's just going to let you hit him, and I mean, take it for what you will. Um, Smash mouth football player.
And he kept churning his legs on that touchdown.
Yep.
Definitely got hit before the goal line. Yeah, I mean, dude, his short area agility and quickness, it doesn't look
Yeah,
bad to me.
yeah.
I mean,
They
granted,
say
he's
he's
not playing
more.
top competition here, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They say he's more quick than fast, and I can kind of see it. Right now, like he he does a good job of finding the hole. He's a one cut running back, and just wants to hit that hole. Nice, nice right there.
oh man, I love watching hurdles, but it just that doesn't translate to the NFL, man. Like
No.
you see like 3 hurdle plays a year, so please just don't try that in the pros.
And there's no
I'll
pressure on
actually say
him.
that particular highlight seemed more like a whole bunch of poor tackling
Yeah.
than it did anything on his end. But
And there's no pressure on this young kid, right? He's gonna be, third on the depth chart. Um,
well, I mean, I
he's
don't
gonna.
think it's guaranteed he makes the roster. I mean, we do
No,
have
it's not. I
Patrick
do know.
Taylor.
Yeah, I do know Green Bay's high on Patrick Taylor. Oh, I like that play though. I
One
like
thing I
seeing
like to
that.
see here is they're up 21-0, and they're at the goal line. You know it's going to be a run, and he manages to just power it through.
Yeah, and that linebacker looked significantly bigger than him, and he's still. Well, nice snag there.
Yeah.
I was gonna say they say he's really good at pass catching. I didn't see a single pass catch yet, so I'm glad they threw some of that in there.
Yeah, I hope they show some highlights from another game because right now this one's just kind of a blowout. Ooh, that's spinning out of contact there.
I mean, he stays aggressive throughout the entire run. He keeps those legs moving until the whistle blows.
I'm curious. Could you give me his measurables again? Because in these highlights, he doesn't necessarily look like he has a running back build to me. He looks kind of skinny. I don't know.
I believe he was 5'10", 212.
Really? Okay. Yeah, I don't know. He doesn't look as thick as a guy like AJ Dillon.
Well, he's not
I guess
AJ
AJ
Dillon.
Dillon's 240 though.
Yeah, AJ Dillon. He looks more. He's going to be more Aaron Jones than AJ Dillon. He just doesn't got the explosiveness of an Aaron Jones, like the home run speed there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I know it's getting off topic again, but I just want to say I'm really looking forward to seeing AJ Dillon in a bigger role this year. I think he's gonna break out, man. I think he's gonna be
I
huge
think our
for us.
running game is going to be dangerous. So I think AJ Dillon is going to be a better RB2 than Jamal Williams was, and combine that with an already Aaron Jones who's probably in his absolute prime right now. Yikes, that's going to be a really good. I mean, our running game was good last year. Watch out, it's going to be even better this year. Throwing Amari Rodgers to the receiving core room. We're bringing back all those receivers who should develop another year more. Really excited about MVS.
Yep.
I mean, we had the number one offense last year. I know we lost Corey Linsley and David Box starting on the PUP probably, but damn, you really
Yeah,
want to
man. I
leave
mean,
Rodgers? I mean, man, it's gonna be a nice offense to work with.
it's gonna be a good team. Like you said, uh, as far as starters, we lost Corey Linsley. Um, like we're bringing back the number one offense, and MBS, I guarantee you, is gonna improve. Alan Lazard, he was injured for half the year, so he's gonna improve. And then you add Amari Rodgers to that. And then AJ Dillon, he's gonna be better than Jamal Williams, I guarantee it.
Devin
Uh,
Funchess is back. I don't know if he makes a
Josiah
team or not.
Deguara, we're it's I'm excited. I'm excited. We're probably gonna have some growing pains on defense with a new coordinator. But at the same time, I was never a Patton fan. Um, I'm fine with us having growing pains for. I don't care if it takes the first 10 games. If we're playing playoff football at the end of the season, I think our defense could be in a better position than we ever were under Patton. Hopefully,
Yeah,
we'll see.
I
I don't
think
know
we
much about
just
Joe Barry, but I know Mike Patton was a bum.
we just we just need to stay healthy. Make sure the injury bug don't hit us like it hit San Francisco type things. And our schedule is going to be tougher this year than it was last year, but and I do think that the other NFC teams closed the gap a little bit. Thought they all had really good drafts, which sucks to say, but I do think that they did. So
Yeah. Well, actually, so that's probably a good transition here because we just finished up the Green Bay Packers 2021 draft. Obviously, we haven't touched on undrafted free agents yet. You know, if you want, maybe we could at least go over who's been signed, not necessarily get into take.
so there was
But
one that really stood out, who I was really high on. In fact, he had like a round 4, round 5 grade on him for some draft analysis, and it's the safety out of Illinois State,
up
I
off,
believe, Christian Uphoff.
yeah.
Yeah, um,
I've also heard
already,
he has experience, like good experience returning kicks.
yeah. He's going to be someone who could make their hay from day one on special. I mean, if anything, it does sound like Goop made sure to go out and you know improve that special teams. Like a lot of these players can be special teams aces, like Shamar, um, Christian Uphoff, Amari Rogers returning kicks. I would assume Mcduffie is going to be on that kick return team. Imagine look at him flying, making those plays for Boss College. Now throw him on the special teams unit. Tracking down those running backs. Like yeah, throw in with another guy like Oren Burks, who's already a standout on special teams. At least he does that well. Special teams could turn into a pretty good strength for us maybe this year. Hopefully, knock on wood, with a new special teams coordinator. And yeah,
Wouldn't it be nice to actually have a special teams play go our way for once, man? If we had
yeah.
game-changing special teams play, do you remember the last time that happened?
I think the last kick return for a touchdown that I can remember is Randall Cobb when he was a rookie. Like that's the
I
one
will
last
say
one I
this
remember.
though, interesting that we didn't bring in any competition, as far as I'm aware, didn't bring in any competition for J.K. Scott at punter.
We did. We have 2 punters on the team.
Undrafted guys.
Mm, we signed him in the off season, I believe. I'll tell you in just a second. We signed Ryan Winslow, punter out of Pittsburgh, and we signed him to the practice squad on January 23rd. And he originally signed with the Chicago Bears as an undrafted free agent, but then was released. Played in the AAF in 2019, then signed with the Cardinals. He did play. He appeared in 2 games for Arizona in 2019. Had 6 punts in those 2 games. And yeah, where's number 7 for us? So brought in someone, at least. Who knows? So
Yeah, we'll see how it turns out. But yeah, for
so the
sure. Seems like we're gonna have more competition on special teams. Hopefully, there's some improvement there. Were there any other notable undrafteds you wanted to talk about?
yeah, I'll just kind of do this little screen share here on the from acmepackingcompany.com. Jack Heflin, a defensive tackle out of Iowa. I've actually heard some pretty decent things from him. Carlo Kemp, another DT from Michigan. So we're adding to that beef on the line there. Bailey Gaither, a wide receiver out of San Jose State. I can't say I know
Hey,
too
that's
much about
James
him.
Jones' alma mater.
Yep. Dipping into that well there. And then we're bringing in 3 more offensive linemen to that already loaded group. John Dietzen, offensive lineman out of Wisconsin. Jacob Capra, lineman out of San Diego State. And Coy Cronk, lineman out of Iowa. I mean, man, what, are we just going to have like a 30-man roster of all offensive linemen come week one. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah,
We
I
have
don't know, man. Like, I know we said we weren't going to get into it, but maybe they're thinking, maybe they're thinking if this is a Jordan Love football team, we're going to be running the ball a lot. Better have a good offensive line. I don't know.
if they could. Well, I know that was LaFleur's MO when he started from day one. Was I know we got Rodgers and he's an MVP, but he still wants to run the ball. Run the ball is going to open up that pass, and you see them taking guys like Cole Van Lanning. You saw what that dude does in the run game. Like we're gonna. To be honest with you, once Rodgers is gone, you might see a whole different style of football. Like you might see a more like, I don't know, Pittsburgh Steeler type football, maybe like just power running all the time, and then just you know
Hey, man, I go back to it all the time, but like San Francisco 49ers, Kyle Shanahan, to me, that is the blueprint. And fuck, when they got to the Super Bowl, they ran over our asses. 285 yards, 4 touchdowns in the NFC Championship game
and
on the ground.
who
Jimmy
was their
G threw the
quarterback?
ball, I think, 9 times total.
Yeah,
Like
you could win. Like if worse comes to worse, and we got to throw him out there week one, we could still win with him as our quarterback because
yeah, dude. I mean, all right. So, all right. I'm not going to talk about it long because we can get a whole episode out of this. But I will say, everybody is saying doom and gloom if Rodgers isn't back. Obviously, we're not as good of a football team if Aaron Rodgers is not there. It's going to be a huge blow. Kiss the Super Bowl goodbye pretty much. Having said that, first year under LaFleur, Rodgers had a solid season. 26 touchdowns, 2 picks. So we're going to call that, we'll call it a plus 24 differential. You know who else gets you plus 24? I don't know, like a Derek Carr. Like it would not surprise me to see Jordan Love get us in as a wild card. In this offensive system and with the playmakers we have on defense, like it's
a
Rodgers adds some wins. He doesn't add 8 wins.
it's a bold statement from someone to say for a player who's never taken an NFL snap yet.
I know it. I know it's bold. He could be a complete bust. I'm not saying he's the next franchise QB, but I am saying he was a first round pick for a reason. We traded up for a reason. Matt LaFleur was smiling like that for a reason. We like Jordan Love, and we do look at Jordan Love as the future. I hope the future isn't this year, but it could be. And I'm not going to be doom and gloom. I'm not going to throw in the towel and say we're not making the playoffs if Jordan Love.
No, like we have a Super Bowl caliber squad right now. Takes a pretty big dent if we don't got number 12 on that squad, but
you're just
all
gonna
the
see a lot
pieces are
more
there.
AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones,
So yeah, I mean, if you're a free agent, like if you pretend Rodgers was a free agent quarterback right now, and assume that no team that has a good established quarterback is like looking to sign with him. So you're looking at the QB hungry, needy teams, and then you're looking at the Packers. What team do you want to play for? Like Green Bay is going to give you the best chance to win by far.
Yeah. No,
Like,
I've said this to you before. I sincerely believe the one team that genuinely could have swayed Rodgers was the Niners.
San Francisco.
It was his childhood. He grew up rooting for them. He wanted to be drafted by them. To me, that was the team. At this point, everything is posturing. Like, yeah, maybe he'll be happy in Denver. I guess he could go to Las Vegas, but that seems like a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
Green Bay's your chance. If you want to be a winner, you stick in Green Bay, dude.
Yeah. So we'll save that for another podcast. So
yeah. So before we close this one out, though, I do think it's worth real quick. Let's just give the general feel on the drafts of our division rivals.
Yeah, I thought the Lions. I'll just bring it up here real quick. I'll do a little share screen on this. So I actually thought that the Lions had a really good draft, which sucks to say, but they drafted a lot of guys that were on that was high on as well. So they got the best offensive tackle that ever came, the highest grade offensive tackle that ever come out of any, in the history of college football, which sucks. So they got a bookend franchise left tackle now. It's looking like they got my favorite defensive tackle in the draft class, Andrew Zarike there, who I thought was a legit candidate to go to Green Bay in the first round. So that sucks. McNeil, I think, was a solid pick there. They took the
McNeil. I will say real quick on McNeil. He was a guy I had a bit of a draft crush on. Was really kind of hoping the Packers might be able to get in round 3 or 4. Obviously, he went a lot earlier than some people projected, but he's kind of a physical specimen who he's got the traits where if he gets coached up, he could really become a disruptor.
Yeah.
And the same thing with Amozurike there, disrupting defensive linemen. Not just a space eater. They've got two guys who are going to be able to create pressure in the middle.
Right. They got the cornerback out of Syracuse there with their other round 3 pick, who, he was all over the board. They had him going in the first round. Some people had him going in the first round. Got good size. He's aggressive. I thought that was a solid pick. And then 4th round, they took Amon-Ra St. Brown. I literally read one scouting report on him that said that he's not much of a pass blocker, but with a couple years of development, he can turn into a legitimate number 1 receiver. And Detroit needs a number 1 receiver. That's like going to be his role for the taking there. Like they could legitimately get. I think Kenny Galladay was a 4th round pick too. So, holy cow, if they can, get another Kenny Galladay type player with that sucks.
We're gonna have to make sure that EQ doesn't feed any information to his brother.
Yeah. I don't know too much about Derek Barnes or Jamar Jefferson. I also noticed that they didn't have a 5th or 6th round pick, but they had 2 3s and 2 4s. I'm wondering if they were super aggressive and they moved up to do that.
Well, hey, I'll say this. I don't know a lot about Derek Barnes. I do recall hearing his name, which like when you're talking a round 4 pick, just having your name out there, you've probably done something right. But then Jamar Jefferson, from what I understand, smaller, shiftier guy, good receiver, and the Lions like him enough that they just waived a 2nd round pick from I think just 2 years ago in Kerryon Johnson, who when he was a rookie, he was in consideration for Offensive Rookie of the Year. He had a great year, just had some injuries since then. They waived him, so they must be pretty high on Jamar Jefferson being their number 3. Obviously, they have DeAndre Swift, who they drafted in the 2nd, and then they signed Jamal Williams.
Yeah. I thought Detroit killed that draft, which sucks. So it looks like Detroit's finally getting some decent front office management there. I mean,
literally since Brad Holmes took over, and he came from the Rams, who they have a history of, they picked some good players in recent years. So he came over. They hired Dan Campbell, who was the assistant head coach on the Saints for like the past 5 years or something. I thought they were making all the right moves, and now this draft, they beef up their trenches. They want to get tougher, and they're kind of looking long term. They've got multiple 1st round picks next year and the year after, I believe. The Lions are doing it right, man. They're in full on rebuild, but they could be someone to look out for in 2-3 years.
Right. Especially if they keep. I mean, who knows? Because none of these players have played a single down yet, but on paper, to me, they had a really solid draft, and I scouted a lot of those players myself, and they made my cut as targets that I wished we would go after, and they ended up on a division rival. Another team that took a lot of players that I liked were Chicago Bears. Starting off with, they trade up to get Justin Fields, who, for whatever reason, I don't know why he was falling, but 10 months ago, they were literally talking, analysis were literally saying that Justin Fields could legitimately push Trevor Lawrence for the number one pick. Never came to happen. In fact, the opposite happened. He fell in the draft. But I don't know what happened on tape that caused him to drop that far and to end up in Chicago. So
Yeah, man. I gotta say, personally for me, Justin Fields was the number 3 quarterback in this draft. I loved what I saw of him. So I hope that the slide, uh, I hope there was some kind of stuff that the public's not privy to. I don't know. Maybe he scored like
they,
an idiot on the Wonderlic, or maybe he interviewed that.
from
I'm
what
not
I
sure.
read, the biggest knock on Fields was that he was slow to diagnose plays, which, you know, I don't know if that is something that can be super, super coachable. To a point, it could be, but if you don't have the ability to just kind of quickly diagnose plays at NFL level, that could be the one knock um, on him. So,
Yeah, and I mean honestly, I really hope because I think he's got a lot of potential. He's probably the most promising Bears quarterback.
oh, wow.
Jeez, I ever I don't know.
I don't
I
know.
can't think of a more promising guy in my memory. Having said that, the Bears are in such a desperate position right now as far as general manager Ryan Pace and head coach Matt Nagy. This is their last year. They're
Well,
absolutely on the hot seat. I
they,
hope that they feel some pressure early on, rush him in because Andy Dalton's a bum. He's not going to win you games. If he loses like the first 3 games, maybe they rush Fields in and we can ruin him before he has a chance to develop.
maybe uh, Matt Nagy literally came out and answered a reporter's question about that, and he answered it with, um, "We are absolutely not going to rush Justin Fields. He is going to sit. We are not going to ruin him." And it was like not music to my ears because that's exactly what I wish they would do. But it sounds
Dude,
like
I mean,
Chicago's actually going to play this smart, and they're kind of okay with literally going with Andy Dalton, at least for now.
like
And
literally the only way I can see that happening is if it's coming directly from Chicago's ownership and saying you're not going to play him because
uh,
Pace and Nagy's jobs are on the line. They're not gonna like if the season starts tanking, they're gonna say screw Justin Fields. He gives us a chance, and we don't care if we burn him up. So I hope that's what happens, man. But I guess
you know,
it's always possible that
yeah,
ownership could step in and say, nah, you're gonna stick with Andy Dalton.
yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on that one. Um, Round two, they went with a tackle that I was really high on. The road grader Tevin Jenkins, absolute mauler, plays angry. I mean, they got themselves a pretty good offensive tackle. I felt so that sucks
Dude,
for
he was a legit round one guy. Like
yeah,
I thought he was gonna go before the Packers picked.
yeah.
Um, I would not have been upset one bit if we took him with our first round pick. Really, the only knock on him that I came across was he can get a bit over aggressive with his lunging, trying to demolish guys.
That could
That's
be all
coachable.
coachable though.
And then I had read that he had some back issues, but obviously not severe enough that he was out getting surgeries for it. So
Right?
we'll see. We'll see. I hope it doesn't work out because if the Bears get a franchise quarterback and franchise tackle out of this draft, then they knocked it out of the park.
Yeah. Um, Round 3, they beef up that line
Round
again.
5, actually, they did
They're
not
around.
have
Oh
many
yeah, so they
picks.
didn't have 2 or 3. Yeah, so all the way till round 5, they take Larry Barome, offensive tackle out of Missouri. I don't know too much about him. I didn't get that far in my scouting. Back down there, looks like a big boy. He looks like a dude that's probably going to kick into guard though for him, just based on looking at him. They took Khalil Herbert, another running back, in round 6. Never bad to invest in there, I guess. And Daz Newsome, wide receiver out of North Carolina in the 6th round. They desperately need receivers. And they took a cornerback, Thomas Graham Jr. out of Oregon. I like the other cornerback out of Oregon more. De La Mura, I think his name was. But Thomas Graham Jr. was he was one that Gutekunst went to his pro day and watched there. He went to the Oregon pro day, so
Yeah, I will say this, man. Very. I mean, I guess you got to go with the way the board falls, and their first 2 picks, I think, were fantastic. Uh, by having said that, they had to release Kyle Fuller for cap reasons this year. Essentially, they released him so they could sign Andy Dalton. And the Broncos picked him up. So they let go of probably their best cornerback. And they didn't take a guy until the 6th round. I guess they're hoping they can coach guys up. But we're used to a strong Bears defense historically. Maybe they're not as strong this year.
yeah, maybe not. Then that will bring us to the Vikings.
Fucking Vikings. Vikings had like 12 picks or something.
Yeah, they had the most. They had 11.
And I think they picked a lot of good guys. I really
I think so
they
too.
cleaned up in this draft. And I think they're our biggest competition in the division as well.
Yeah. All right. So, all right, they traded their first one. They traded back. So they trade back as soon as Justin Fields went off the board because that is who they were going to take. So it looked like Justin Fields was going to be in our division no matter what, just whether he was going to wear Bears colors or Vikings colors. So they picked up an extra. They picked up 2/3 in exchange for theirs. And they still moved back and they picked up arguably the second best tackle in the draft with Christian Darrisaw. So, holy cow, dude. We're talking from this draft, the Lions get Penny, the best tackle in the draft. The Vikings arguably get the second best tackle with Darrisaw. And the Bears get Tevin Jenkins, who was still a first-round talent. Literally every division rival took a top-end tackle talent in this
We just
draft.
gotta hope Rashawn Gary steps up, baby.
Yeah,
And that
thank God.
Preston
I mean,
Smith has a bounce back year. It's an odd
Yeah.
year now, so he usually does well in the odd years.
yeah. So, geez, for that one.
Yeah, no, that's some textbook getting value there.
Yeah.
Because very likely they would have taken Darrisaw where they were. They trade back, pick up 2 third-round picks, and they only had to give a 4th in exchange, and then they still get the guy they wanted. And dude, that offense, Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Irv Smith is going to continue to grow. He's still a young tight end who was drafted in the 2nd round. That offense
Yeah.
is going to be a problem, man.
Yeah. And then they went and so they missed out on Fields, but they're hoping to find a developmental quarterback in Kellen Mond. I don't know too much about Mond. I really didn't get that far in my scouting because I didn't even fathom Green Bay taking a quarterback in this draft. So I really didn't
From what
scout
I
them much.
understand, he has a lot of traits that Kirk Cousins doesn't. He's
Okay.
athletic, has a deep ball. Probably just needs to develop his processing more.
Yeah.
And learn more NFL style offenses. I think it's a good pick for them. He can sit and develop behind Cousins, and Cousins let's be honest, he probably ain't the guy. So, 2
Yeah.
years down the road, they can give Mond a shot instead of paying Cousins more.
So I did see that there was a point that the Vikings released that they said that they called Kirk Cousins and they made him aware or gave him a heads up that they were potentially going to take a quarterback in this draft. Like, gotta wonder if that got leaked out because of that report that
Yeah, I
Gutekunst
saw
didn't
some
call Rodgers
bullshit
and give
about
him a
that with the
heads up.
Bears
Yeah.
informing Andy Dalton that they were going to take Justin Fields. Oh, we can't hurt Andy Dalton's feelings.
Dude, so Chaz Serrat was another guy I liked a lot. He's fast. He's a playmaker. Like, we're talking a safety and a linebacker's body. They said the same thing about Oren Burks, though. So, we'll
I
see.
will say this about Serrat. He started his college career as a quarterback. So
Yeah.
he's probably going to have a better understanding of things than Oren Burks ever will. Um, and especially when you surround him with other talented linebackers like Eric Kendricks, Anthony Barr, their safeties with Harrison Smith. Chaz Surratt's in a pretty good position to learn right now.
Yeah. That's a solid pick. And, let's not forget a great defensive coach in Mike Zimmer. Uh, the big offensive tackle out of Ohio State, Wyatt Davis. Again, beefing up that offensive line some more. Offensive line was an issue for the Vikings for a long time. Not so much recently. They've gotten better at their line's gotten better, and they continue to invest in it. Could turn into a strength here. They're gonna give. Also, let's think about this. They're adding Christian Darrisaw to a line. That's gonna protect for Dalvin Cook. Like, Dalvin
Yeah, dude,
Cook's licking his chops.
that's what I'm worried about. You look at this, and for a team like the Vikings, their first thought is not Super Bowl. Their first thought is how do we beat the Green Bay Packers and win the division. They probably go back to that San Francisco 49ers blueprint where they ran all
Yeah,
over us. You get an elite offensive line and an elite running back that can cover up a lot of holes on defense. It can cover up for a weak
sure.
quarterback. See, I still don't know how the Vikings ran all over us last year, and we did not really improve our defensive line.
Yeah, we got
We
TJ
got to,
Slayton.
yeah,
That's
we
it.
got to hope we just score a lot of points against
Yeah.
the Vikings.
In the third round, they take Patrick Jones II. They nag themselves a defensive end. And as we're moving into the fourth round, we're starting to get into a lot of their mid-round picks here. They take a running back. Obviously a depth piece for them at this point, but they probably liked something that they saw in him. They take a safety and with their other fourth round pick, Cameron Bynum. I did read a little bit about him. I kind of liked what I saw. Obviously a developmental piece, but they could use some help in that secondary there with depending on how well their corners progress. But their first round corner there with the assault charge there might not be playing for him.
Well, and
So
also when you think about it, they had to let Anthony Harris go in free agency.
yeah,
They did replace him with the guy from Dallas, I think Xavier Woods, on a pretty affordable contract. Uh, but they don't know if that's going to be the long term answer. And Anthony Harris, I think he was a fifth round pick, or maybe even a sixth or seventh, who developed into, he had a Pro Bowl season 2 years ago.
yeah,
You take a guy in the fourth, that seems like a pretty good developmental. Like maybe he can be our new Anthony Harris. Also, Harrison Smith is getting older too, so you got to think
true.
about that.
Another defensive piece with Janoris Robinson, defensive end out of Florida State. Moving on to the fifth. This was a sneaky good pickup for them. Emir Smith Marset. Kid who's got some legit skills. Obviously needs some things to work on, but he's a little bit on the taller end. He's over 6 foot, so he was one that I circled on my board for a possibility for Green Bay, given their history of going for over
Fast and
6 foot.
physical guy too, right?
Yeah. So picked up him. Still in the 5th round, they take a tight end, Zach Davidson. You know, mid-round, like 3rd, 4th, 5th round tight ends is where usually you end up hitting on them, history shows. So not so much in the 5th, more in like the 3rd, but who knows with Zach Davidson. They pick up a defensive tackle from Pitt. I believe this is their 2nd Pitt player they've taken. They must have did some solid scouting at the University of Pitt, but they take Jalen Twyman, DT. Looks a little bit on the smaller side. They're probably going to kick him out to D end. Certainly a depth piece for them, and that would be it for them. So they are adding to that defense already. Mike Zimmer, that defensive coach, loves his defensive players, and
and we got to remember, trenches. Man, like they obviously they drafted some guys, but I think more importantly, they essentially are going to have a completely new defensive line from what we saw last year, because Daniel Hunter was injured all year. He's coming back. He is one of the best defensive ends in the league. Michael Pierce was a free agent defensive tackle. Many Packers fans wanted him. Vikings scooped him up from the Ravens. He sat out last year because of COVID, so this will be his first year with the Vikings. Then they go and sign another defensive tackle who many Packers fans wanted. Scooped him up from the Giants in Delvin Tomlinson. So they're going to have a beefy interior. They're going to have Daniel Hunter, one of the best defensive ends in the league, coming back. And then they had some depth pieces, as well as, Serrat might start at weak side linebacker for them. It's going to be a different defense than what we saw last year. And their offensive line obviously fortified. Dude, Vikings are going to be a tough out this year. We lost a game to them last year. We went 1-1, and they got better. So they're going to be some tough competition.
Right. Yeah. It's getting close. We got to make sure that we just nail these draft picks and our own players keep improving. So, with that being said, this was we keep going on for hours if we want, but probably a good spot to call it quits here. Hopefully those 3 or 4 people that actually take the time to watch us, you enjoy the movie lawn premiere of our draft class here. We'll be coming at you here soon again with probably a breakdown of like a roster prediction here, as well as maybe we'll just do a Aaron Rodgers show once this clears a little bit and just discuss that maybe. So
yeah, we should probably wait until after June 1st on that.
Yeah. So appreciate you guys checking in, whoever watches this, or this will be fun to watch 10 years from now when, Jordan Love's already on a Hall of Fame career and we're fussing about this stuff, or all these players become either draft busts or gems, and we're sitting here saying that we were super high on them and they ended up being a bust or something like that. So it'll be fun to see, to compare and contrast.
People are going to go back to the mock draft episode and they're going to be like, PP pounded the table for Rico Busi, and and the Steelers got him as an undrafted free agent, and everyone lived to regret it.
Steelers got the best wide receiving core in the NFL, like by far. It's just unfair.
Yeah, well, they don't have much of an offensive line right now, and Big Ben is just about in a wheelchair at this point. So
yeah, if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I'd be like, trade me to Pittsburgh. I want to throw those receivers with that defense.
Their offensive line's garbage. Rodgers break a 3rd collarbone.
Maybe. All right, you guys. Andrew and Cody from Context, signing off. Till next time.